All right, so we've talked about our core focus, which is we properly install windshields by embracing the extreme importance of a properly installed windshield, as if my daughter was going to be in each vehicle, as if your family were going to be in each vehicle. And this video actually came out in the late 90s. And at the time, they were doing undercover investigation on businesses. It was pretty cool, man. They would go into these businesses like a lube shop after replacing all the stuff that the lube shops try to sell you. And next thing you know, a salesman will come out and say, hey, you need to replace your air filter, you need to replace this, you need to replace this, you need like $600 worth of stuff. And then the whole crew would come out and be like, hey, we've already replaced this and we've got you on camera. And next thing you know, that lube company's getting blown up on one of the most popular TV shows in the world. So at this time here, for about 10 years, they had started installing windshields differently. They went from using a substance called butyl, and the best way to think of butyl is it's like a high viscosity tar, and it sealed the windshield into place. Follow me here. Notice I didn't say it didn't glue it. It didn't glue it. All it did was seal it. In fact, it never dried. It would stay like a high viscosity tar forever. So what actually held the windshield in place would be a trim that went on the outside of the window. But all the butyl did was keep it from leaking water and leaking air, and it was actually terrible because on a really hot day it would thin out, and even if your windshield didn't leak when you first got it, it was just a matter of time before water would start coming in there. But they started making the windshield a structural part of the vehicle, and if the windshield is going to keep the roof from collapsing, well, we can't use butyl anymore, right? We need to have something that holds it in there, and that's what our urethane does. Our urethane is insane. I've got some pictures somewhere I should try to put in these series later, where they glue a hook on a car with the urethane that we use. They got this like 6-inch wide hook that they glue on top of a car with half an hour cure urethane, let it sit there for a half an hour, and they pick up the whole car with a crane. All right, we'll get this thing going.
With a potential danger right in front of your eyes. You've got your seatbelt fastened, the airbags in place, but they may not be enough to save you in a crash if your car windshield gives way. Arnold Diaz has an urgent report and frightening crash test footage that should serve as a pointed warning.
A car's windshield does a lot more than keep the rain out. In an accident, your factory-installed windshield can help save your life, deflecting the airbag and keeping the roof from caving in on you. But if
that windshield wouldn't have been properly installed, that windshield would have popped up 20 feet in the air, and the airbag actually would have never made it to the occupant in the passenger side.
Original windshield has been replaced, you could be in for trouble because experts say millions have not been installed properly.
Wow, that's coming right out.
Yep. There's no way I should be able to do that with this car.
We'll show you examples of what could be a deadly problem. You'll also see what happened when
when he was pushing that windshield out, you saw the butyl. It's nasty. The stuff is nasty.
purposely broke our windshield and then called companies to come replace it. According to our experts, they made critical mistakes. These installers told us it's a widespread problem.
Because there's actually more guys that do it wrong than guys that do it right. Is that right? Sadly, yes.
But as you'll see, our experts say these same guys are among those who installed the glass the wrong way.
Should you wear gloves? Because it seems like the oils from your hands are getting on the edge of the glass. What do you think?
I don't know, man.
It may have happened to you. You get a crack in your windshield and you call a company to replace it. 11 million are replaced each year. Although it's a complicated job that requires skill and training in the use of primers, adhesives, and proper handling, installers don't have to be licensed or certified.
He is correct. We do not have to be licensed or certified. I was getting my hair cut the other day and talking to the lady about what they have to do for the health department to be certified to cut your hair, and it's a lot. You have to keep your certification up to date. You don't need that for a windshield. Anybody can go put one in. There's nobody making sure we do it right, and if we don't do it right, somebody can get killed. This urethane he's using right here is Dow. It's some of the best urethane out there. There's hundreds of different companies, but there's probably about 20 that most people know of, and Dow and Sika are the two leaders. They're the ones that care about safety the most. They offer the best training. The problem with them is they're expensive. Both of those products are really expensive. He's using Dow here. We actually use Sika. It's the other one. But what I really like about Sika is if we get a new technician and we want to get them certified, we can call them and the urethane company will walk them through the process, getting them up to date so they understand how long the flash times are, what I have to do to properly use this adhesives so that if the vehicle's in an accident, it's going to actually stay in the vehicle.
And experts say installers are making mistakes you may never know about until it's too late.
There was a replacement windshield in 25-year-old Jean Franzway's car when it ran off this Wisconsin road last year.
There's a really bad car accident down the road from here. There's a car smashed up and it looks pretty bad.
Witnesses calling 911 couldn't find her inside the vehicle.
I don't see a passenger. I don't know where the person.
All right, you see that there? The windshield's just hanging out. So that was the butyl that it was glued in with. If it would have been glued in with actual urethane with the correct primers, that would have stuck around the outside. Like, it will pull the car apart before you had an adhesion failure if you're using the right stuff. So she didn't have her seatbelt on. That probably would have saved her. But look at this car. It's not that beat up. Like, this roof didn't collapse that much. And if she would have had her seatbelt in, it would have kept her in. But if she would have had a properly installed windshield without her seatbelt on, it would have kept her inside of here. And she probably wouldn't have been hurt that bad.
Is, but there's a shoe in the middle of the road.
They found her body 70 feet away, lying on top of the windshield, which had come out as the car rolled over. Experts believe it wasn't installed properly. In crash tests like these, you see the windshield can keep...
All right, and here's the problem. If you get ejected from the vehicle, and you just land somewhere soft, you might be okay with some broken legs. But what typically happens is you get ejected out of the vehicle in front of the car, and then the car comes and runs you over. If you watch this crash test dummy, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Keep you inside the tumbling car even if you're unbelted, as Jean Franzway was. However, if the glass pops out, as happened in this test, the passengers can be thrown from the car, which greatly increases the chance of death. The windshield is also an essential part of many airbag systems. The passenger side bag is designed to bounce off of the glass. But now watch this demonstration of what might happen if the windshield hasn't been properly installed.
3, 2, 1.
The force of the airbag easily blew out the entire windshield. With that glass gone, the airbag can't cushion you.
Windshields are a major support factor of vehicles, and nobody tells you this, you know?
4 years ago, Charles Rhine had the cracked windshield on the family's minivan replaced at a local glass shop. 7 months later, on a rainy California highway, the minivan slid off the road, his wife Tracy behind the wheel.
We were rolling, and when the vehicle stopped, I couldn't move.
The replacement windshield had popped out during the rollover, allowing the roof to buckle into the passenger compartment, breaking Tracy's neck.
If that windshield had reinforced like it was supposed to, I would have had at least 4 to 6 inches clearance.
Do you think about that?
All the time.
At first, this mother of 3 didn't want to believe it when doctors told her the accident had left her a quadriplegic.
When I heard it from Charles, I knew for sure that it was true. And I wasn't going to be able to be the same kind of mommy or wife. My life had totally changed in a matter of a day.
The Rhines sued the company that had installed the replacement windshield and settled for $2 million.
They'd forgot to put a secondary primer in the installation in the windshield, so that the hardening material, when they put on the windshield, it didn't harden.
Experts tell us windshields are often improperly replaced because many technicians are either sloppy or haven't been trained well enough. So we decided to see for ourselves. We had windshields replaced in 3 different cities.
In New Jersey, these installers had no idea we had a camera in a nearby van, and the customer was glass installation expert Steve Coyle. Coyle says he spotted a few significant mistakes.
If 2020 came back to life, I don't think they're doing this anymore. 2020 still out there. I don't think they're doing undercover. But if they came and watched us install windshields here, we're doing it by the book.
For one thing, they handle the edges of the windshield with their bare hands.
The oils from your fingers will get on the bonding surface, cause the adhesive not to stick there, and in case of an accident, that would be the first place that would let loose.
I later questioned the installers about that.
And when we were watching it being put in, it was being carried, you know, with bare hands, with the fingers on the edge.
He said he's able to carry the glass without his fingers touching the inside edges, and showed me how he does it.
One thing I will say here is they're telling you that you have to wear gloves. We have suction cups, so we'll put the windshield on a rack, we'll clean it, prime it, and from that point you never touch any of this black area at all. So we won't wear gloves while we're doing this, but what we do is we put a suction cup on the outside so we're able to handle the glass without even touching it at all.
I carry it like that. My hands never touch the inside of the glass.
I see. So your hands don't actually curl in.
Don't even touch. No, but you're raising very good points, and that is very important.
It sure is important, say our experts, but as for his special carrying technique, he must have forgot to use it in our case. Take another look at the surveillance pictures. His fingers are clearly touching the inside edges, and so were his partners.
I've never had a problem with the oils on the glass. I mean, unless you have a handful of grease or something like that, I could see, but your everyday...
But look at your fingers. I mean, that's a handful of grease.
All day. It's not a handful of grease, trust me.
Whether it's grease or dirt, our experts say it's still a problem. And that's not all. The technicians are supposed to apply a coat of primer to the edge of the windshield before using this kind of urethane glue. It helps it stick better. But our expert never saw them put on the primer. They insisted they always do.
We do when we receive the glass, or in the morning, or, you know what I mean, just before we put it in. At some point, we're priming it.
All right, so that's a big problem. We are not going to go prime the glass, put it in a vehicle, go out driving around, grab the glass, handle it, and put it back down. No. That was a big no-no. I'm guessing they didn't even primer the glass. But what we do here is we put it on the inspection table, check it out, and then once we prime that thing, nobody's touching that thing.
Okay.
Depends on the day.
Well, when did you put
I just slammed out 12 jobs, buddy.
They'd been really busy, he said. So busy that perhaps they forgot to prime the glass?
When did you put the activator on this piece of glass, do you know?
Just before we put it in, no?
Just before you put it in? Okay.
I didn't prime it. Did you prime it?
When did you do that?
Before we put it in.
Okay.
But the next day, we had the windshield they put in removed, and the urethane easily came loose. That indicates the primer was probably either never put on.
So he said he put it on the previous day. Every primer is a little bit different, but with a Sika primer, I believe you have 8 hours from the time that you prime it to the time you have to use it. But we're never gonna wait 8 hours. If it's been 8 hours, we're just gonna prime it again. Because in our theory, once you prime this glass, if it's just sitting there, maybe you haven't touched it, but how do you know? In 8 hours, if that thing's been sitting there for 8 hours, how do you know nobody's come and touched it? And there's just dust and contaminants in the air. So for us, if it's been more than a half an hour, we're just going to prime it again.
Or no longer effective, say a number of experts. The company told us safety is very important to them and said their installers are certified and regularly trained. But clearly, these guys were having a bad day.
Actually, this is a bad example of how this is done because we are working solo all day, every day. Honestly, when I have a coworker or even for Dan here, I get out of sync when I have my own routine when I'm by myself. And that's 1, 2, 3. You know, we have almost no comebacks.
All right, so that's not going to happen here, right? Our core focus, the thing, like the reason why we do what we do is we're providing safety and security. So if we're having an off day, we're not going to cut corners, and we're definitely not going to not prime the glass. Like, that just doesn't fit. If we filter all of our decisions through our values and through our mission statement, our core focus, we're not going to have an off day and forget to prime the window. That is a mandatory, absolutely every time. If a technician got caught not priming a window, we'd probably look into it, find out what was going on, and we might not fire them if it was one time, but if it happens again, they got to go.
In Spokane, Washington, this worker from a glass company we called also contaminated the edges with his bare hands. Then the technician wiped the windshield with only a rag, failing to use the cleaning fluid he was supposed to. The company later fired him, but said it was an isolated incident and did not agree that the mistakes posed a safety risk. In Minneapolis, our expert Steve Coyle said this installer never warned him that it's not safe to drive the car until the glue dries.
He says, all I need to do is slap the glue on here and put the window in, and you're ready to go.
The technician had a different story.
You told the guy he could drive off.
I never told him he could drive off.
All right, so this is another big point that they're bringing up. Back when this was made in the 90s, they had like an 8-hour safe drive away time, meaning it could be installed 100% correct, but if the car didn't sit there for the drive away time, which you'd have a little chart, you would look at what the humidity was, what the temperature was, and then you would say, okay, this car's 4 hours. And people, they just wouldn't say anything. They put some tape on the top of the windshield and say, don't power wash it for 24 hours. And if they ended up getting in an accident, even though it's properly installed, if they got in an accident in that first 24 hours, the windshield wouldn't offer any structural integrity whatsoever. So since then, a lot of things have changed. Our urethane company has some glue that's actually 4 hours now. And the stuff that we use is a half an hour drive away time. So then this is the nice thing about half an hour. And it's much more expensive, but you're not going to hear us talking to our guests about safe driveway times and make sure that you leave it sitting here in the parking lot. We don't have to do that, because once we install that windshield, then you have to put the windshield wipers on, the cowling on, the rear view mirror on, bring it around. By the time we bring it to the guest, it's been a half an hour. What you will see is in the winter, if we end up with, I think, I'll have to confirm this, but I want to say if it's below 0, or it might even be below 32, below a certain temperature, the drive-away time can be longer than a half an hour. So in that case, they will make sure that the car sits in here. They'll put a timer on it to make sure it sits there for half an hour before they even pull it around front.
You did?
No.
Well, how long should he wait till he drives that car away?
Well, it should definitely sit for a while.
How long?
It actually probably should sit for a couple hours.
A couple hours?
Before it's good and stiff.
He's wrong. The manufacturer's directions say the car wouldn't be safe to drive for about 10 hours. The company said the technician made that mistake because our camera made him nervous. But Mitch Becker, another windshield expert, says based on his experiences, mistakes like the ones we found are not unusual.
This is something I run across commonly.
Commonly?
Yes, across the country.
In fact, at this salvage yard outside Minneapolis, Becker easily found evidence of one car after another with windshields improperly replaced.
This section of the glass should not pull away.
He says this and many other windshields were put in with a cheap adhesive called butyl tape, a material car makers say is far too weak to keep the glass secure. That was obvious when Becker pushed out this windshield with his feet.
So people were probably driving around in this car having no idea that this was all that was holding their windshield in place and that it's not enough.
Right. Many people drive around, they don't realize that their life is in danger.
Dude, that stuff is nasty. It got everywhere. You get it on your hands, and by the time you got it off your hands, you might have had it on your butt, and then it gets on your seat, and it would just end up everywhere. It's like it never went away. Oh, it's up. And when I first got in the industry, over half of the vehicles that we did were butyl. And I'd have to talk to the techs now, but I bet we see one butyl job come in here maybe a month, and that might be on the high side.
At the automobile factory, most of the windshield installation process is automated. Human hands don't touch the glass until it's already glued and in place. And even then, gloves are always used. Contrast that with the way we saw replacement windshields being installed. The potential for life-threatening mistakes is obvious, as is the need for training to do the job right.
If they could know what negligence they did has caused to my family, to my children, maybe they would be more responsible in their jobs.
Oh, no, that is really tragic. Well, how does someone know where to go to get the right kind of treatment for the windshield?
Well, no matter who you call, the experts advise you may want to ask them, are you certified by the National Glass Association? They do have a certification program. Ask not just the shop, but the person who's actually putting the windshield in, the installer, if they're certified.
Does that guarantee that it'll be okay?
No, but it gives you a better chance it will be.
What about asking your insurance agent to recommend somebody?
That could be a problem because sometimes they steer you to a place that does it cheap, and that means the place could be cutting corners.
So you have to know as much as possible yourself.
Right.
Thank you, Arnold. Important news. We'd like to tell you for more safety tips, visit our website at abcnews.com.
So they were really hard on these technicians, but when I watched this, I think they were working for somebody. And that person was more concerned with turning a dollar than they were people's safety. So if, like, that just wouldn't happen at Glass Specialists. We're not going to let them go out. They asked that one guy question, what is the drive away time? Like, a Glass Specialist, we're not going to let you put a windshield in until you know that he should have known that. He should have had the graph. He should have been able to go up and say, okay, it's 80 degrees. It should be this amount. But like I said, we're lucky. Urethane has come so far. It's awesome. We don't have to worry about the drive away times since it's speeded up so much, but we do have to worry about the primers, the flash times, how long it needs to sit there before you put it in. Make sure you don't touch it. Make sure the urethane's not expired. So thanks for watching this with me. We'll see you in the next video.